Today we'll be discussing deception and its role in social psychology. My name is Gianni Acamporo. Be resolved, the use of deception is just in social psychology. Some terms for understanding prior to the discussion. Deception being a methodological technique whereby a participant is not made fully aware of the specific purposes of the study or is misinformed as part of the study. Indirect deception, giving the participant knowledge that some elements of the experiment will be withheld prior to their participation. And direct deception, totally withholding elements of the experiment prior to and during their participation. Some forms of deception, from the more acceptable being to mislead the participant, exaggerate the truth to the participant, and indirect deception, to the less acceptable being to falsify data and mislead others, to understate repercussions to the participant, and direct deception. To detail the affirmative, is it more than justified? Dr. Michael Chang Tek Tai details how, particularly in social and behavioral psychology, deception with regards to the participant's security can be justified. This is especially true when the deception directly allows the validity of the results. Pointing to Milgram's experiments, if the participants were told that the shocks wouldn't be real, then the entire experiment would lose much of its credibility. Indirect deception could be a solution to this dilemma. When telling the participants that certain experimental factors may be withheld from them, their subsequent consent could remove any more obligations for clarity to the experimenters. However, it could still damage the validity of results. Again, referring to Milgram's experiments, telling participants that certain factors would be withheld from them prior to their participation might have swayed them to alter their behavior. Although conjecture, it is not difficult to postulate that knowing that something is hidden from you presents oneself more room to behave outside of how they might react. Detailing the negative. Some psychological repercussions are important to be aware of. Being an issue of varying severity, dependent on each experiment utilizing deception, the health of the participants and their safety must be considered. An issue lies in our ability to properly examine the mental health repercussions in participants. Certainty in the matter would require follow-up after the experiment, even years after, to fully understand how the participants were affected by the deception. Again, addressing Milgram's experiment once more. If Milgram himself knew of the impacts on the Confederates, he might have watched the experiment altogether. Furthermore, the participants might have walked away knowing how they would feel after the experiment. Damaged reputations are also important to consider. Dr. Portnoy, Dr. Boynton, and Dr. Johnson find that risk to experimenters using deception. When uncovering the use of deception, participants and the researchers, their peers, might negatively review its use. This damages the reputation of the experiment and artificers, and could be regardless of the value of the results of the study. I believe the ideal position follows the affirmative. Not really trying to fence sit, but it is necessary to value the participants' well-being and safety, obviously. And it is also important to recognize that deception leads to significant growth in social research and can sometimes be necessary. We can idealize this by prioritizing the participants' health. Deception can be morally allowed to take place, and the risks to reputation can be negotiated for with the quality of the experiment. For more information, you can view the work that I built off of here in this presentation here from this work study. Thank you.